cracking pit stop by Red Bull, 2 seconds exactly. They did a 1.96, didn't they, at the last race?
Leclerc tickling the throttle there because he knows where he's been out there before, but to an extent. And he just understeered. The front just slid clean off the road. So his advantage now on those inters has fallen away. It's brought him back into contention, Leclerc, to an extent, but he's now lost that advantage.
So Danny Kvyat coming in, Lando Norris coming in. We just saw his teammate Carlos Sainz really struggling out of the final corner, and he almost lost it there again. And Lance Stroll coming in for Racing Point. Lando Norris, power slide out of the pits, and almost ahead of Danny Kvyat during the pit stop, but not to be. It's soft tyres that are going on at Mercedes for whoever's coming in, and it's Valtteri Bottas coming in. So, sorry, medium tyres. So I wonder if the teams are thinking, Martin, the overcut is going to be stronger than the undercut. Has Verstappen just been off the track? I wonder if Verstappen's just had a problem through the final few corners there, because he's going very, very slowly indeed. And there was a big cheer from the Dutch fans, but I wonder what they were cheering for, and I'm not sure they were cheering for much.
He's had the spin there. Oh, look at that. Underneath it, doesn't do the underneath the car, and all the little aero pieces a lot of good. It's no grip at all.
Give me the soft tires. Straight for hard.
They won't fire up.
I don't... He had a new set of soft tyres available to him, Max Verstappen. I'm not quite sure why the medium were the better option.
They put Bottas on the mediums as well, didn't they? There he is. They're obviously they're more durable compound. Therefore,
Norris has gone off as well on the slicks.
That looks like a technical issue, though, doesn't it? It looks like he's just retiring from the race now.
Oh no!
Oh, we got another spinner there while
That's
we're watching
Lance Stroll.
that.
So both drivers going onto the slick tyres, and this is their lap out of the pits.
We've lost power. I've lost power. Gear 6 gone. I've lost power.
So Norris has lost power.
Gear 6.
こんだけのマクラーレンマジで最下位争いしてたな。
Wretched afternoon. This is turning into McLaren.
What will they do with Leclerc and Hamilton when they come in? You've got to put soft tyres on from what we're seeing out there. And Leclerc pits now, so we're about to find out.
And Stroll's got going
soft
again.
Tyres for Leclerc.
Soft tyres for Charles Leclerc. Hamilton continues to lead this race. Charles Leclerc is in second place at the moment, and Charles Leclerc is going to keep that second place even after this pit stop, because Bottas and Verstappen are just coming around the final corner now.
Virtual safety cars out there at the moment, so another cheap stop for Charles Leclerc. But now this is going to be so difficult for them, going slowly, 40% slower, and keeping any kind of reasonable temperature in these tyres. It'll be easy for Leclerc having just pitted, and they need to go, if he can get rid of that VSC quickly, it might work a treat for him again.
So Martin, the Mercedes pit crew have stayed out. I wonder, would you bring, on the virtual safety car, would you bring Lewis Hamilton in now as the race leader to protect his lead over Charles Leclerc?
You have to, don't you? You have to use the cheap pit stop, because you're in the pit lane doing 50 miles an hour, 80 kilometers per hour, while your rivals are at a reduced speed out on the track.
Here they come out of the garage with a set of tyres. We're watching Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton is tiptoeing his way around the Sachs curve under the virtual safety car, of course. But he's going to come in and get a brand new set of tyres. Ted Kravitz, he's coming your way in a few moments' time.
I'm sure he is, but just to underline how brilliantly Hamilton has been driving. I mean, I know he's great in these conditions anyway, but we haven't really mentioned it, have we, Crofty? Because he's been so comfortable out on sort of pretty knackered old intermediate tyres, having been one of the first to put them on. Hamilton has been driving absolutely superbly. Sainz passes me on a fresh set of inters.
And this could be interesting, Ted, because the virtual safety car ended just as Lewis Hamilton came in. That is a longer stop than you'd normally expect. Leclerc's going through turn 14.
And a long stop anyway. It was a long stop. The right front wasn't ready for some reason.
Charles Leclerc coming now round. Oh, Charles Leclerc's gone out, gone right and gone out. Leclerc has gone into the barriers at the penultimate turn, and a second Ferrari in the space of 2 races here in the German Grand Prix has ended up into the barriers. It was Sebastian Vettel last year. It's Charles Leclerc this year, and that car looks beached. And his hopes of a great result this afternoon have slid away, with his car sliding away too.
Just as he was staring at a victory opportunity, It's the same, but he's been over there twice already.
He just gone on to the slick tyres, and it's still very, very wet in that final part of the circuit. And Charles Leclerc, what desperate luck for him. They're going to pit his teammate again because we've got a proper safety car, I think, now. The actual safety car has been deployed, not the virtual safety car. Leclerc is utterly furious with himself. So this is out of the Sachs curve. No grip really there. Try and keep off the curbs if you can.
Oh, he had that tiny bit of understeer, and now it's just going to skate straight into the barriers. It wasn't exactly pushing that hard. It just snapped to the back. He had to countersteer to turn into the slide, and now he's on the skating rink, the drag strip, and he'd have been better hitting reverse in that moment.
His run of 4 consecutive podiums, and it looked like being a 5th consecutive podium has ended. Intermediate tyres for Sebastian Vettel. Ferrari now decided it is too wet out there for slick tyres. Ted, down to you.
Quite astonishing now. We're seeing Gasly in for
2 seconds, Ted.
Yeah, we can't rely on the radar.
And I think Lewis Hamilton's gone off as well, but he's carried on.
And he's lost his front wing, hasn't he?
There's damage to the front wing, certainly. Hamilton went off at exactly the same spot. As you can see, managed to keep going. Our race leader now into the pits needs a new front wing. Valtteri Bottas takes the lead of this race.
They're not ready for him. They weren't expecting him. They didn't know it's happened. They had no idea that it's happened.
Well, they weren't ready for him because he's only come in because of that accident. And I think now they're going to look to get maybe intermediate tyres on as well. They're scrambling around all the while Lewis Hamilton's losing out. Bottas takes the lead. Verstappen now goes into 2nd place. Hulkenberg has just pitted again and moves up into 3rd place whilst they still work on the car of Lewis Hamilton, who was cruising, it seemed, out in front. But in one split second, Leclerc goes and Hamilton's chances of victory looks like they're going as well.
They've got to make sure they get the right tyres on it. They're not Bottas's tyres, for example.
Correct.
We've got a mixture of tyres on that. And then we got Inter's back on it now. That's what they're doing. They're changing their mind on the tyres. And of course, when you've got to change the nose, you can't use the front jack because the front jack jacks up on the nose itself.
Alex Albon goes through into 4th place, ahead of Hamilton in 5th. Carlos Sainz runs 6th. And then 7th, Kimi Raikkonen, and Sebastian Vettel right on his tail as well. Lance Stroll is a lap down. You can see him in the picture there. He's now back on the intermediate tyres again. And continuing in the points, Gasly, who's up to 9th, and Giovinazzi, who's 10th.
Everyone is going to Easters. Okay, so box for intermediates.
So we're still behind the safety car. There he is, Bernd Mailander called into action once again. And Valtteri Bottas, I tell you what, if he pits now, Max Verstappen might just take the lead of this German Grand Prix.
Well, does he need Inters anyway? He needs probably, because he's been really struggling, hasn't he? Just like Bottas has. And they can see how easy it is to smash the car up. So what will they do? Again, it's a cheap pit stop, but under these circumstances, it puts you at the back of the queue. That's the bollard that Lewis Hamilton didn't manage to go around because he was recovering. Bottas is struggling even in the pit lane.
And Max Verstappen stays out and now takes the lead of the German Grand Prix on his intermediate tyres. Bottas nearly collected the bollard on his way into the pit lane. Inters go on for Valtteri Bottas. The stewards are looking at Lewis Hamilton for coming into the pits the wrong side of the bollard.
Yeah, as I just mentioned, he was recovering from the track. See what they say about that, but you're supposed to, as we saw with Hulkenberg, you're supposed to duck underneath that bollard.
So I'm thinking, Martin, that in all the confusion and all the carnage with Lewis Hamilton's pit stop, Max Verstappen stopped the lap previous. So actually, he's in a very good position now on a new set of the intermediate tyre. So much going on in this race, and we're trying to keep up with all of it, but we've had 51 minutes of this race so far. We're not even at half distance, and I for one am glad about that because I'd like this to go to extra time.
It's breathless, isn't it? The race obviously it will be timed out at 2 hours. That shouldn't be an issue. But Depends how many safety cars there are. What a changeable conditions, extraordinary. Look, here we go. So Lewis,
危な。
skatey that is, and just a little clout of the barrier, but he had some momentum when he hit the barrier, and now obviously he hasn't been able to go around the bollard. He'd have to go the wrong way down the racetrack to do that. And he's bringing a damaged car in, so it'd be a bit crazy to say you didn't go around the bollard when you come in from. You'd rather he did that than go round the track with a damaged car. But we'll see what they say.
Let's just take stock here. Max Verstappen leads the German Grand Prix. There's a few guys and girls amongst that lot who are quite happy about that. Valtteri Bottas was
い
leading.
や違うか、ベッテルこれ2位やったっけな。1位じゃなくてもなんか再開でめっちゃ上がってったレースやった気がするけど。
In his home Grand Prix, which produced his best race finish last year, he's currently in second place and looking quite tidy. It must be said in these conditions, they still need to get rid of Charles Leclerc's Ferrari stricken by the side of the track. Behind Valtteri Bottas in third, Alex Albon, I mentioned, had slipped through into fourth place. Alex Albon on the Toro Rosso is fourth.
How bad is the damage to the car?
We need to have a look. We don't think anything other than the front wing.
Hamilton has been off and lost the lead and is now down in fifth. Carlos Sainz has been off a couple of times and he's down in sixth at the moment. Charles Leclerc is one of 4 drivers who are out of this race, and this is why.
Yeah, a little tiny bit of oversteer. Now he's straight out. Oh, look at this. It's the silliest incident, but nothing you can do about it. Nothing you can do. You're just carrying a touch too much momentum. It's reminiscent of Vettel's crash last year, really, in a way, isn't it? Low speed and hopeless. So it'd have been better hitting reverse as it happened. And because he slapped into it sideways, Lewis hit it and had a little bit of forward movement and just carried on. So Lewis is under investigation now fully for coming the wrong side of the pit bollard. So they may say, look, you should have gone around with the damaged car. You can see a piece missing off the top, one of those sort of wings missing off the top of the chassis of Lewis Hamilton.
Well, this has had just about everything, and I think there's probably still a bit more coming. After Hamilton, Sainz, Raikkonen, Vettel's in 8th at the moment, and everyone running intermediate tyres, just to let you know. After Vettel, Gasly, Giovinazzi completing the top 10. Kvyat, Magnussen, Grosjean, and now the lap cars can unlap themselves.
Okay, so we are still halfway through the race here, Max.
The lapped cars can unlap themselves. That's Stroll, Kubica and Russell. Russell ahead of Kubica, ahead of Stroll at the moment. Whoa. Let's take a pause.
Yeah, I'm just thinking through. I'm trying to think when Verstappen came in and put the inters on.
I think he came in whilst we were watching Lewis Hamilton in the pit. So
29,
it was lap 29. So whilst we were focusing on Hamilton, the camera was focusing on Hamilton, Verstappen slipped in and made his pit stop. Wasn't that a timely pit stop for Max Verstappen, who a couple of laps before Hamilton and Leclerc did their business had his own spin as well. It was looking hopeless for him, but now he's in the lead of the race. The FIA stewards, the 4 of them that preside over this German Grand Prix, and they've still got a few more decisions to make, haven't they, this afternoon? Anthony, to you at Race Control.
Yeah, it was really confusing at that time. I've just been watching it back, and Verstappen, because of that spin the lap before, he was convinced enough to come into the pits just to put inters on anyway under the virtual safety car. Lewis was on his way as well to do it the same thing, and he was saying on the radio, I don't think slicks is the right thing. He'll be kicking himself. He knew in his instinct that it was the wrong tyre to be on.
Yeah. Oh dear, oh dear. And we are on lap 33 of the German Grand Prix, which is a quite prestigious moment, Martin Brundle. We can now declare the first half of the season well and truly over.
And what happened to that? Halfway through this season already. Safety car is in this lap. They've cleared the Ferrari out of the barriers. And the advertising, ironically, that used to say Mercedes-Benz before the Ferrari hits it. So safety car in this lap. Alex Albon has never driven a Formula 1 car in the rain, and he currently sits in 4th position.
For a team that have one podium finish in their history. Sebastian Vettel's win at a very wet Monza back in 2008. A Toro Rosso team that made their debut in Bahrain 2006. Toro Rosso team in their 258th race start. Could they could they possibly get a second podium today?
That can't Hamilton out of winning this race either by a long stretch. He's in 5th place at the moment, and we know how fast he's been through this Grand Prix. So he's still in the hunt. As long as he's only lost a little bit of aero off the front there, he'll still have enough pace.
All the stewards decide he's not going to get a penalty for going the wrong side of that
hanging
bollard.
over him as well, isn't it?
That is definitely hanging over him. Right, should we go racing again? I've rather enjoyed the chance to take a breath or two, but I want to get back on with the action. I'm sure wherever you're watching around the world, you do too. And if you're Max Verstappen, you definitely want to get on with the action. And you're quite glad to see the back of Bernd Maylander, maybe for the time being, maybe till the end of the race. Verstappen leads them over the line then from Nico Hülkenberg in his home Grand Prix, running in 2nd place. Valtteri Bottas started 3rd, is running 3rd. Alex Albon has Lewis Hamilton behind him, then Carlos Sainz. Sebastian Vettel's making a move on Pierre Gasly's got to stay behind the Red Bull for just a little bit longer, and Gasly's got to try and get some heat into those tyres once again as Giovinazzi now coming at Sebastian Vettel, and then Danny Kvyat, and then you've got Kevin Magnussen and Romain Grosjean scrapping away in the 2 Hasses right at the rear of the field as well. Onwards, down towards the hairpin we go. Verstappen, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Albon, Sainz thinking about a move on Hamilton. Is he going to go down the inside? Not on this occasion. Vettel's going to look down the inside on Pierre Gasly. There's a 5-second time penalty for Lewis Hamilton for going the wrong side of the bollard. Vettel gets past Pierre Gasly and makes his way up into 8th place.
Yeah, Gasly just passed him, that's why. So he's got that position back again. And Lewis Hamilton now on the rookie Alex Albon. But he's carrying that 5-second penalty, and that could be the difference between him winning this race or not, Lewis Hamilton.
If he pits again, he'll have to wait 5 seconds before they service the car. If he doesn't pit, they add it to his race time when we get the checkered flag, which might come at the end of 64 laps, or it might even come at the end of the next hour and 2 minutes.
The safety car worked beautifully, didn't it, for Vettel? We were talking about how he was over half a minute off the lead at one point. It's all worked out. He's now on the right tyres, in position in 8th, but only 6 seconds off the lead.
Gasly struggling once again, trying to get heat into those tyres, and he's being swamped by cars around him. Albon's fought off the pressure of Lewis Hamilton on that lap. We're looking back now. Giovinazzi gaining on Gasly. Kvyat has Grosjean just behind him. Magnussen as well just behind Grosjean. They've unlapped themselves, all the cars now as well. And out in front, Max Verstappen continues to pull away from Nico Hülkenberg.
Yeah, Verstappen's checked out up front. All they've got to be careful of is the skating rink in the last 2 corners.
All that skating rink there going through turn 3 and 4 for Alex Albon. That was a bit twitchy, wasn't it, in the Toro Rosso. Danny Kvyat down in 11th place. Is Grosjean near enough to have a dive down the inside? Not on this particular occasion. There's still a bit of wet, bit of dampness on the track. It's not completely bone dry as yet.
I think they'll start burning these inters out very quickly in these conditions unless it starts raining again.
Could be right. They might be hunting for a bit of dampness, and they definitely get it towards the end of the lap. On board with Lewis Hamilton, watching Alex Albon struggling a touch with the conditions out in front. Into the stadium section we go. Ted Kravitz, to you.
Yeah, just a quick thought. Down at Williams, where both their drivers have just stayed on the wet tyres. They haven't been tempted to put on the dry tyres at all. In fact, they're only 2 of 4 drivers who weren't tempted by the slicks. Turned out to be the right thing to do. Hülkenberg, that's why he's there. Sainz, Russell and Kubica were the only ones who didn't run slicks in that period. It was the right call.
It's costing Hamilton bundles of time. Stuck behind Albon's Toro Rosso. Hamilton now 11 seconds off the lead.
And it's also not getting any better for Hamilton in the stewards room potentially as well, because he's under investigation once again for driving unnecessarily slowly whilst the safety car was deployed. Now, was he backing up the pack, or was he tiptoeing around waiting for his team to get ready to come out? The stewards, the drivers have a lap that they must adhere to. Hamilton's going to have a go on Albon, is he? He's just a bit too far back on this occasion. We'll switch through and take that very tight inside line out of the hairpin. Lewis Hamilton getting past Alex Albon, been held up by the Toro Rosso, going wheel to wheel, and then ahead is now Valtteri Bottas right on the tail of Nico Hülkenberg as well. Whatever Hamilton was doing behind the safety car, the stewards, I don't think like it. That's why they're looking into it.
And that's normally a slam dunk, that kind of thing, because computers generated that somewhere as a variation that's popped up as not correct.
slower than that minimum time, and the minute you do, it just triggers things, and now the stewards have all the angles and all the data and throttle traces and this bit and that to look through and make their decision. Out in front, Verstappen is now 7 seconds clear, and loving the conditions and loving the feeling of being out on his own, I'm sure. Bottas, with DRS assistance now, is within a second of Nico Hülkenberg.
And Hamilton is faster than Verstappen, who's out front. So now Hamilton's in clear air. We're seeing his true pace again. We know he's carrying a 5-second penalty. Will he get another penalty as well? We haven't seen. I'm not entirely sure what that one's about, if I'm honest. Maybe we'll see a replay of that or something. But it's a replay of him going very slowly, isn't it? Yeah. So it won't be that exciting.
It won't be a slow motion replay. There'll be no need.
It might be informative.
There
we go.
goes Bottas on Nico Hülkenberg to the hairpin down the inside. Hülkenberg gives that one up, doesn't really fight it. Such was the pace difference between the Mercedes and the Renault. That's worked out beautifully for Verstappen. That buffer between the Red Bull and the two Mercedes, and the buffer that is Nico Hülkenberg, has allowed him to pull clear. Now Bottas can start the charge after the Red Bull as well, and Hamilton is right on Hülkenberg's tail, and they've rather dropped Alex Albon in 5th. And Albon might be coming under pressure from Carlos Sainz in 6th soon, and Sainz has got Raikkonen and Vettel and Gasly and Giovinazzi for company. They're all queuing up behind him as well, and oh dear, never far away from a shower in this part of the world today.
Nico Hülkenberg is still just in that tantalisingly close podium position he's never been able to achieve.
So want Nico Hülkenberg to finish on the... He deserves a podium finish. He's been on the pole position in Brazil in his rookie season. He's led races and it hasn't worked out for him. He's still yet to stand on the podium in Formula One. Maybe, just maybe. It says on the radar, Ted Kravitz might be the person to answer this, that it's raining at the moment. So I don't know, Ted, if you've got your upturned palm and you can tell us, is it raining?
Yes, but not very hard, and not very hard in the pit lane as well. So I think the Inter is the right tyre to be on. I don't think anyone is going to be tempted by the slicks, but I must say, if you look out your commentary box window, it's quite bright though, isn't it, Crofty?
To the right it is, yes.
And I noticed that some of the drivers are starting to dip their tyres in the wetter part of the track, cool them down.
Hülkenberg's been passed by another Mercedes. Yeah. Hamilton is through, and Hamilton is back up into the podium places. Sorry, Martin, I interrupted you there.
Yeah, no, it was a pass for podium position, so well worth interrupting. But yes, I noticed when they can, they try to dip their tyres a little bit in the wetter part of the track to cool the tyres.
We can see
a long way behind, isn't it?
Wow.
It's not an overtake, that's a mugging. Miles behind.
Well, I think Hülkenberg once again knew that his fight wasn't necessarily with either of the Mercedes there.
Yep.
Wanted to turn in, but the car was alongside him, not to try and defend the position, but just to get out of that corner. Here's a real cue that Sebastian Vettel is finding himself in at the moment, and Pierre Gasly, now he's switched the tyres back on again and got some heat and temperature into them, is gaining on Sebastian Vettel.
I don't know if Vettel still can. We heard about a turbo issue early on, but he's not got any pace. Vettel is still, once again, he's restarted in 8th, remains in 8th.
Well, I wonder, he was talking about problems, the team were talking about problems once again with the turbo that cost him so dear in qualifying yesterday, and he was having issues in the early part of this race. Seems like yesterday, the early part of this race, but are they affecting his general pace in the race? I wonder. 9 seconds, the lead now that Max Verstappen has over Valtteri Bottas. Lewis Hamilton gaining a little bit on his teammate. He was about 2.5, 3 seconds back when he overtook Hülkenberg.
We expect the rain to slowly reduce.
So it's not raining very hard at the moment, and it's going to get a little bit better, and you'll need your sunglasses by the end of the day.
Sainz up in 6th place. Not too long ago we saw him in the barriers at in the final corner, isn't it? Reversing out.
Yeah, his first couple of laps, he took more runoff area than he did tarmac, it seemed. He's been spinning off, just avoiding the barriers. He might still come home, Carlos Sainz, for a 6th place for McLaren and match what he did at Silverstone.
The safety car really annulled the time he spent sort of reversing out of the barrier and the gravel. Well, he didn't quite make the gravel, actually, did he? Verstappen, a new fastest lap of the entire Grand Prix out front.
That's the thing, you just never give up, though, in Formula One. You never know what's going to come next. And
on a day like this. Oh, we got another one wide, look, onto the ice rink.
And that is the Alfa
Kimi.
Romeo, it is the Alfa Romeo of Kimi. Kimi Raikkonen goes very wide indeed and has lost places and might, I dare say, get passed by his teammate Antonio Giovinazzi in a few moments as well. Rare to see Kimi Raikkonen making mistakes. The conditions obviously treacherous in parts of the track here.
And the grooves in the inters of just giving them enough grip out there to stay out of the barriers. It was the slicks that just skated straight to the barriers.
Oh.
So once again had to counter steer into a slide.
What he did there so well was as the car's sliding, finding grip, and even though it took him towards the gravel, he actually had the grip to avoid the barrier.
That's typical Finnish driver territory, isn't it? A bit of gravel, bit of oily, watery tarmac, and Kimi was on top of it.
Right. Lap 40 of 64 here. Kimi's making mistakes. Lewis Hamilton's got a 5-second time penalty. Max Verstappen is leading the race. Charles Leclerc could have been on for a race win, but he's out of it, along with Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo and Sergio Perez. I think it was an exhaust issue in the end for Daniel Ricciardo. Nico Rosberg, who's won here at Hockenheim before, world champion, of course, and with us this weekend. I dare say, Nico, I'd like you to summarise your highlights of the opening 40 laps, but we've only got another 23 laps for you to do that. And look, there is the Renault of Nico Hülkenberg, who you sat down with just yesterday to talk about his home Grand Prix, and he's ending his home Grand Prix in the barriers, and another car in the barriers at the final corner. Oh, what a race this is turning into.
Car. That'll be another safety car then. It's exactly the same situation. He's dug a hole like he's building a sandcastle on the beach on a Sunday afternoon, and then presumably it's going to be the same thing. A little bit of oversteer. That's just plain understeered off, hasn't it? And then that's caught him out. And then he actually hitting the brakes was the worst thing he could do at that point.
Nico Rosberg, what a feeling, what a horrendous feeling that must be in your home Grand Prix. As for the second year running, a German driver crashes out in their home Grand Prix.
That's so terrible for him. I was just about to say, like, what a phenomenal run he's having. He would so have deserved to finally maybe have a chance even for the podium, because we still don't know what penalties Lewis is going to have. Oh my God, that's heartbreaking. Poor guy.
Oh, it is heartbreaking. It is a race of heartbreaks today. Charles Leclerc, for instance, was on for a magnificent finish before he went into the barriers at the same corner.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, everybody, even Nico now, was just struggling with the rear end, going into that sequence of corners, and then they go out onto your famous ice rink, and then they hit the wall. I'm still looking forward to Lewis coming up to Bottas now, though. That's going to be a really, really cool internal team battle there coming up.
I think we're in for mega excitement in the last few laps. Nico, thank you. Into the pits comes Max Verstappen. Intermediate tyres going on, Ted Kravitz.
It is, but it's a really close call. It's such a close call. Just before Hülkenberg went off, his engineer was saying, if there's a safety car now, do you think we could go to slicks? Because the radar, Crofty, says there's not going to be any more rain between now and the end of the race. So what do they do? Better safe than sorry, Verstappen. Good call, I think, that.
Yeah.
Be on the right tyre at the right time.
And if you don't lose a place, which he didn't, he's on a fresh set of intermediate tyres, where those behind him have done a few laps. For instance, Bottas, lap 29, Hamilton lap 29 when they came in. Inter's going on for Sebastian Vettel. Is that another problem? And that front right with a wheel gun there for Sebastian Vettel this time around. Oh, Nico Hülkenberg never retired from a German Grand Prix, running fourth, doing superbly well. Renault salvaging a decent weekend, but not to be.
He'll be frustrated with himself there, because he kind of collected the car up and got back on the throttle.
What's the reason? We didn't have new tyres?
So Lewis, we'd have to serve the 5-second penalty, which would have dropped us behind other cars.
So better to stay on those tyres at this moment than drop behind a load of cars. And when we do get going again, Lewis, we need you to extend an advantage over the car behind you and make up that 5 seconds.
Double whammy. I mean, we've seen how good it is to have new inters on, gaining 5 seconds, but the point they're making there is we'd have put you into a load of traffic. It's the right front again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't really go against the peg, but there's another replay of it. It's not going on. There's something going wrong on the right front of the Ferrari stop.
Just wasn't locked into the right place. They had to give it one extra shove.
Yeah. Well, that plays beautifully into Verstappen's hands now.
Well, the only thing that goes against Max Verstappen is he's lost a 9.5 second advantage, but on fresh tyres, he can pull away from the field.
Well, we've just seen the advantage that gives you, isn't it? You know, you start finding Leclerc 3.5 seconds a lap.
Yeah.
You know, you're very quickly gathering that back again, and you're opening up your window of options down the road if it does rain again. That's the important thing. You've got more tread on your tyres.
So the safety car once again. This is the third time we've had the safety car out. I haven't actually been counting, to be honest. There's been so much going on. We've had virtual safety cars. The safety car itself, Bernd Mailander, he's earning his money today.
Yeah, and of course Verstappen would have lost that lead anyway under a full safety car. It's only under the virtual safety car are they sort of neutralised. Under the safety car, they all get put back into a queue, into a line, and off we go again.
So this will help those at the back of the field catch up a bit. I think Kevin Magnussen's taken the opportunity to pit for fresher tyres as well. But pretty much a free pit stop for him. Teammate Romain Grosjean does go ahead of him, but Russell and Stroll, Kubica are a little further behind.
They're mighty pieces of equipment, those guns, the wheel guns. We must do another feature on them actually.
They're quite heavy, aren't they?
The amount of investment that goes into those. That's why we're seeing sub 2 second pit stops. Absolutely extraordinary.
If you like a power tool, they are a great power tool. They really are. And this was Nico Hülkenberg skating away.
So he got back on the throttle because he felt he got it under control, realised he hadn't, and hit the brakes. I think if he'd have left the wheels just turning, he may have found enough grip. Easy to say, not that easy to do. When you're heading towards the barriers, you tend to grab some brake.
And there is Nico Hülkenberg, who was possibly on for a fourth place finish in Formula One. Who knows, it might have been a podium as well if someone had problems further ahead. But his Renault, and Renault's first official double retirement since Mexico 2017. They didn't see the checkered flag, of course, in Bahrain.
I'm not going to have this. I don't have my tyres on in particularly great shape.
Okay, copy Lewis.
But they were both classified that day. Their first double retirement since Mexico 2017. Hamilton not liking the state of his tyres.
Now he knows that Verstappen's got a huge advantage here and he's carrying penalties. Verstappen's pitted 4 times in this race so far.
So far. Who was the last person to pit 5 times and win a race? Michael Schumacher in Hungary all those years ago, Ted?
Yeah, it must have been. That shot of Hülkenberg is the saddest on one of those camping chairs.
Yeah.
It's one of the saddest things I've seen since, well, about 20 laps before when Charles Leclerc, and that's the saddest thing I've seen since
I thought you were going to say the saddest thing I've seen since the Titanic. Not the ship, the movie. That was sad.
No, well, Mika Häkkinen crying in the bushes at Monza was also one of the saddest things I've seen several times ago. Yes, we have had several people in. George Russell was racing Lance Stroll in the racing point out of the pit lane, so they're both on fresh inters as well. But I think they've finished. They can't put any more fresh inters on anybody else because they've run out by now. So Vettel pitted, Grosjean pitted, Magnussen pitted, Russell and Stroll all for fresh inters, and of course Max Verstappen.
They have an allocation of 4 intermediates and 3 wet tyres for a Grand Prix weekend. So they are limited on that allocation. The only thing that's got any grip in the skating rink is that tractor, by the looks of it. Nothing else. Unless you control the car so delicately as we saw Kimi Räikkönen do.
He's back in the garage and having a debrief. Nico Hülkenberg, might take him a while to get over this one, I'm afraid. Anthony Davidson at Sky Race Control.
Yeah, so the addition to Lewis Hamilton's message from Bono was that all other cars around him are on the same age intermediate tyres, apart from Verstappen, of course. So, yeah, he's complaining that the tyres aren't up to spec at the moment, but nothing else he could do.
What are your thoughts on track conditions, Max?
It's tricky, mate. It's pretty dry here on the back, but around you guys it's slippery.
And I was just going to tell you exactly that.
It is. It's that final corner, or final 3 corners that are very slippy indeed. And that's where we are seeing an awful lot of incidents and accidents. As the field make their way behind the safety car once again over the start-finish line. Williams might be finishing on the lead lap here, which for them will be a very pleasant experience indeed, and one they deserve, I'm sure. Ted, down to you.
We have a gambler. We've got a gambler on slicks.
Who's that?
Lance Stroll.
Force India. Here we go again. Racing Point.
With you.
And no more rain expected from here to the end of the race. So best chance we have to win the race is getting Verstappen at the restart.
All right, so Valtteri, no pressure. Lance Stroll, they're going to be watching the data there to see if it is good for slicks or not. They might as well take a gamble. He's down in 14th place.
Crofty, another thought on Hamilton. I know Mercedes would rather just add the time to the race time rather than be stuck in the pits for another 5 seconds. But surely he's not going to get to the end on this set of inters. They would have to make another pit stop anyway, wouldn't they, between now and the end of the race?
Well, I think the trouble is he's got more chance of extending an advantage over Alex Albon and the Toro Rosso than he has of making his way up through 7 or 8 cars if it had taken the hit of a pit stop. Martin?
I have to say Bottas' tyres are much more worn than those fresh ones. Bottas went on lap 29, and of course Verstappen put his on lap 41. So I don't think we'll be seeing a lot of overtaking from Bottas to Verstappen. They'll crank that Mercedes motor right up. We'll see what they can do down to turn 6. Verstappen doing as he did before on the restart. It's his prerogative. He's backing them right up, and then he launches just before the double right-hander at the end of the lap.
If he wins this race, he goes to within 40 points of Valtteri Bottas in 3rd place in the championship. Does Lance Stroll, but there's 19 laps to negotiate first, and nothing is for certain here at Hockenheim this afternoon. Verstappen leads them over the line ahead of Valtteri Bottas, Lewis Hamilton and Alex Albon. Then comes Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly, Kimi Raikkonen, Antonio Giovinazzi, Sebastian Vettel gaining on Giovinazzi, and Romain Grosjean in 10th. Vettel looks to go down the inside of the hairpin, turn 2, nothing doing there, but he gets Giovinazzi on the exit, swoops round the outside, and Sebastian Vettel is up to 8th place. And already, look at the difference in the tyres that's helping out Verstappen, but Hamilton in a bit of trouble here, and Alex Albon will go round the outside. Gasly and Sainz waiting behind. Sainz goes down the inside. Now wheel to wheel with Lewis Hamilton. Albon has lost out. Gasly's waiting to have a go at him. Sainz couldn't quite get past the Mercedes.
Hamilton must have had some kind of issue in turns 2 and 3, because that pack was right on his tail by the time he arrived at 6.
Down the inside of Alex Albon goes Pierre Gasly, and this time he is lighting up his tyres as Albon goes wide. And from 4th, Albon is all the way now down in 7th place and made that 8th as Sebastian Vettel gets past him as well. Hamilton ahead of Carlos Sainz, then comes Gasly, Kimi Raikkonen there in the Alpha, ahead of Sebastian Vettel, who's trying to get round his former teammate on the inside of the Sachs curve. Nothing doing on this occasion, and this is where it is very wet and very tricky.
Lewis got away with that, but he went very deep as Verstappen pits now for slick tyres. Lewis went deep into the 2nd corner, late on the brakes, and Verstappen then the first of the front runners to go with the slicks.
And there's a whole load more coming in on the slicks as well. Hamilton has stayed out and leads this race. Raikkonen stayed out, Vettel stayed out, Giovinazzi stayed out. They're the top 4. Verstappen back on the track again now, behind Stroll. Stroll is up to 6th place. And they took the gamble at Racing Point behind the safety car to go onto the slicks. Anthony Davidson, we'll get to you at race control in a moment. See if Sebastian Vettel can get past Kimi Raikkonen. He can't into the hairpin. And you've been watching as Vettel gets past Raikkonen, I think, out of the hairpin there. Lance Stroll's progress, I take it was quite electrifying.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. They timed that absolutely right. He could drive flat out back up to the pack for the safety car, keeping the heat in his tyres, and he's just racing past all the people now that are stopping to do exactly what he did under the safety car. Brilliant stuff by them.
I knew something else might happen in this race. Wasn't quite sure I expected this, to be honest. Max Verstappen then has got it all to do to get back into the lead once again. We're watching Kimi Raikkonen and Sebastian Vettel tussling here for 2nd and for 3rd. And both have had mixed fortunes today. Raikkonen could have got into the barriers. Now comes into the pits. Sebastian Vettel right behind him. The pits crews are going to get to work. Vettel's just set a new fastest lap of the race on that particular lap. But Lance Stroll, I think, might now, as Hamilton pits as well, be leading the race. The gamble at Racing Point has put Lance Stroll into the lead of the German Grand Prix.
With Verstappen right on his tail.
So Stroll leads. Behind him, Max Verstappen. They are cheering in the grandstands because they can see what's going on here. Danny Kvyat is running in 3rd. Back out onto the racetrack. Hamilton now down in 12th because he had to serve the 5-second penalty.
Yeah. If it could go wrong, it has gone wrong so far for Lewis, but at least he's still on the track, and Verstappen has retaken the lead from Lance Stroll.
With Danny Kvyat right behind him, and there's Danny Kvyat's teammate Alex Albon on a slick tyre, getting round Pierre Gasly, forces Gasly wide, and does a very nice move indeed to take 7th place down at the hairpin. Kvyat, by the way, on the soft tyres, just set the new fastest lap of the race. Danny Kvyat, the Toro Rosso, has that extra point in his hands at the moment, but I dare say it's going to change a little bit, and he's gaining on Lance Stroll.
Yeah, and it shows you how the track's changed on these tyres now. That was a full 4-5 seconds quicker than we've seen so far today. Game on in the last 16 laps.
Oh, this is one of the craziest races I've ever had the delight, Martin Brundle, to stand in a commentary box alongside you. It's our 150th race at Sky Sports F1. Oh, it's one of the better ones, this one, isn't it? Max Verstappen now has the new fastest lap of the race. And
He just lost that to Kvyat.
So Kvyat's going to hang on to that point for as long as he possibly can. Stroll second, Kvyat's third. Bottas, he got some catching to do here. Just lapped in a 120.6, but Stroll at 122.5. This is Albon at the hairpin as he managed to get past Pierre Gasly.
That could be telling. I think if Gasly does lose that Red Bull drive, Albon's must be one of the drivers in contention for it. Gasly, though, having an okay day, mind you.
And that is Kevin Magnussen ahead of Alex Albon in 6th place. Albon's catching Magnussen there. Kvyat has come alive on these soft compound tyres. He's lapped the last lap 3/10 faster than Verstappen and a full 6/10 faster than Bottas behind him.
And Albon flying as well in the other Toro Rosso. Really suited these conditions. They've got a lot of confidence out of Kvyat and Albon.
How's it gone this bad?
Yeah, copy this. That's something we'll review.
Well, he lost out Lewis Hamilton because he had to pit to come in on the slick tyres with the track drying at just the wrong time for him, and he's had that 5-second penalty he's served, but he's still under investigation, of course, for another misdemeanor with the stewards for coming in, going unnecessarily slowly behind the safety car. His day might get even worse as Gasly goes wide, very wide at turn 1.
Red Bull want Pierre Gasly to get it together. It suits them. If he could get his act together and support the man who's leading this race, Max Verstappen, but oh, he's making a lot of mistakes, isn't he? Come on, Pierre.
Albon goes past Kevin Magnussen in the Toro Rosso, whilst his teammate is in the podium places at the moment. Albon has now moved up into 6th place behind him. Gasly has got Sebastian Vettel pressuring him as Verstappen puts in a 1:18.3 and the track drying up all the time here.
And Vettel in the 18s as well, but back in the pack.
And the way this is looking, they're all going to concertina right up to each other in the last 5, 6, 7 laps. Those podium places, Verstappen, Stroll, Kvyat, by no means certain at the moment.
Kvyat as well is all over the back of Stroll now for 2nd place.
And Stroll desperately trying to hold him up in the Racing Point. They brought upgrades to this German Grand Prix that have been working well, but they took a brilliant gamble behind the last safety car to be the first driver onto the slick tyres. It advanced Lance Stroll up into the podium place. He was leading the race, first Canadian to lead a race since Jacques Villeneuve, only Canadian to lead since Jacques Villeneuve, and he locks up there.
He got away with it, bit of cadence braking, got off the brakes, he got the car turned in nicely. But Kvyat will have DRS, the rear wing opens, the big letterbox in the rear wing opens, and he sails past in the Toro Rosso Honda.
And that is a fight that Lance Stroll would like to carry on for a while, but it wasn't really a fight that he was looking like winning, because the Toro Rosso looks a supercar at the moment. The Alpha of Antonio Giovinazzi now has the fastest lap. He won't get an extra point unless he can make up another 3 places, because he's outside the top 10 as it stands. And all the while Verstappen is going onwards and upwards. Out in front, it is now nearly 10 seconds clear as Kevin Magnussen's been passed by Sebastian Vettel. Gasly now getting a bit closer in attendance with Magnussen, down in 7th place for the Dane. Sebastian Vettel can now set.
He's up to 7th, he's flying.
He's up to 7th, he can set after Alex Albon, if he can catch him. Because as I say, the Toro Rosso performing beautifully.
Yeah, Verstappen's checked out, 2nd time I've said that today, checked out up front.
This was how Max Verstappen retook the lead. Kind of how Max Verstappen retook the lead. It's the moment that he passed Lance Stroll. We've been racing for An hour and 25 minutes here. We're on lap 52. Sebastian Vettel in 7th place, holder of the fastest lap now. He's just wrestled that back off Antonio Giovinazzi. And he's about 1.5 seconds behind Alex Albon.
Vettel's still got a chance of a podium here with this kind of pace.
Yep.
Depends how he can get through the people ahead of him, which is Albon, Sainz, Bottas. Won't be that easy, really, and Stroll.
The one that's now struggling for pace in the top 3 is Lance Stroll. And he's struggling for pace by round about 2.5 seconds on the last lap to the man we're riding on board with now, Valtteri Bottas, who tears off another visor strip, and I'm sure there's still spots of rain all over the visors, and there's dark clouds still hovering overhead, but the track drying out nicely at the moment. Ted, down to you.
I'm down in the Racing Point garage. No sign of a problem for Lance Stroll, but there's tension down here. His dad, Lawrence Stroll, is watching on the back of the garage in the computers, with Checo Perez is watching it with him, of course. Remember what happened to him earlier on?
First man out of the race a long time ago.
But he's keeping tabs on it. They just want the points. They just want a handful of points down here at the Pink Panthers. Let's hope Lance can hold on to get that.
The Silverstone team have top 7 finishes at the last 3 German Grand Prix, and they're in the podium spot at the moment. Started 15th, now running in 3rd place. Ahead of them, Danny Kvyat and Max Verstappen. Honda at the moment on for a top 2 finish. Honda Power 1 and 2 in this race.
Sainz flying along nicely as well, keeping up with Bottas, who's closing in on the Racing Point of Stroll.
Well, that's going to keep Valtteri Bottas looking in his wing mirrors. Someone's gone off, and it's Lewis Hamilton who's gone off at the first corner. Big cheers all around Hockenheim as Hamilton goes very wide at the first corner, manages to keep the car going, but now only has the Williams of Kubica and Russell behind him.
How did it go this bad was what he said, didn't it? He's turned in and he's gone round. It's amazing that didn't make the barriers. Well, wow, he's just got a little bit wide and touched the wetter part of the track. It's not often you see Lewis making mistakes like that, but that's a driver error.
Lewis Hamilton's 22 race point scoring streak, I get the feeling, is going to come to an end here today, and it was nearly his 22 race finishing streak that came to an end. He made slight contact with the barrier, but glanced off it and managed to carry on his way. It has not gone well for the Mercedes team today.
This is Lewis's 2nd time in the barriers today, isn't it? Extraordinarily.
The sight of the team, scrambling around, trying to fix the front wing and work out what tyres to put on for a well-organised machine like Mercedes, that doesn't happen very often, if ever. Magnussen lets his teammate Romain Grosjean past. Kimi Raikkonen is right behind. Magnussen 9th was. Grosjean is now in 9th place into the hairpin. Valtteri Bottas is gaining on Lance Stroll once again, and Lance Stroll trying to fight him off. Carlos Sainz is right behind that particular pair.
Vettel right onto Albon as well.
As Hamilton comes into the pits for a change in tyres and is off back out into the race again.
They'd have been nastily flat-spotted, I'd imagine.
Yes. And there is Grosjean, Raikkonen, Magnussen scrapping away for the final couple of points in this race. A race that Max Verstappen leads with 10 laps to go. 25 years, isn't it, since Jos Verstappen felt the heat.
Crofty.
Felt the heat here.
Commentator's curse.
No, I'm not going to do a commentator's curse. I don't believe in the commentator's curse. But 25 years since Jos Verstappen felt the heat of that fireball in the pits. His son, Max, here at Hockenheim has managed to produce a bit of heat through the dampness and the rain. It's amazing how in sport, someone far better than you and I will ever likely to be, Martin Brundle, seems to write a script. It just seems fitting.
Vettel then, having passed Albon up into 6th, a new fastest lap of the race. He's got tremendous pace now as Sebastian Vettel.
On boards with Valtteri Bottas, getting closer to the Racing Point ahead of him, goes to dive down the inside, he's a bit too far behind. Stroll manages to keep hold of that 3rd place, and Bottas still with him there, and finding a slipstream and finding pace as they move towards the Mercedes-Benz grandstand, absolutely packed full, hoping to see a Mercedes-Benz victory, but that's not going to come their way at this moment.
And all the time, this is helping Kvyat 2nd place, isn't it, with these two fighting?
Danny Kvyat, who's finished second the course before, all the way back in Hungary in 2015, and another one who just went onto the right tyre at the right time, and whose team, Toro Rosso, have given him an epic chance of finishing on the podium here this afternoon on a weekend where he waits for his partner to give birth and for his first child to arrive into the world. He could be standing on the podium on that very same weekend. And talking of birth, if he's watching in California, Hendricks, Jonathan Button, I hope you're enjoying your first taste of a Formula One Grand Prix. Jensen, Brittany, congratulations to all three of you. 10 seconds, Verstappen's lead. Verstappen over Kvyat. 3 seconds then, back to Lance Stroll, who's going to have Valtteri Bottas coming at him again with a DRS. But he's finding a way to keep that Mercedes at bay.
Yes, they've both got Mercedes engine, but I really did expect the works Mercedes here to breeze past with the grip and tools that he's got available to him.
I was having a chat with Lawrence Stroll yesterday, and I was saying, if Mercedes want something, do you have to agree to their rules? And they said, no, we're a completely independent team. We're not going to be here just for Mercedes. Oh, as the Haas car.
This guy is incredible. He will never learn.
Oh dear.
What is it doing?
Well, at least they're still running, which is not something you could say after Silverstone last time out, but
No,
they obviously, neither of them have listened to the words of Gunther Steiner in the build-up to this race.
They managed to connect twice on the opening lap in Silverstone, terminally, effectively in the end. And
oh, that's sliding out. That's Valtteri Bottas. Safety car. There'll be another safety car here.
메르세데스 있어버려요.
Bangs his fist on the desk in front of him. As Valtteri Bottas pushing hard to catch Lance Stroll has spun off into the barriers, and this 200th Formula One Grand Prix for Mercedes is one they will want to forget in a hurry.
Everything okay, Valtteri?
Yeah, all good. Oh, sorry, guys.
extraordinary. Lewis is down in 15th, also known this afternoon as last place at the moment, and Valtteri is out. Valtteri Bottas, it's going to be the same thing, I guess. Going to touch a bit of water, he runs a bit wide. It's the same spin that Lewis had, but it sort of materialised in a different way, and boom.
Oh.
So yeah, just catching, look, you can see the slightly damper track there, just enough to loosen off the heavily loaded left rear tyre, straight to the scene of the accident.
And spinning around, no chance to stop, and that is Valtteri Bottas's 22 race finishing and scoring streak gone in a heartbeat. Pit stop for Lewis Hamilton once again. How many times has he been into the pits? That's his 6th visit to the pits this afternoon. And I assume that if they want to find one word to describe their race here at Hockenheim, if Mercedes were searching for it, I think pits would be not a bad suggestion.
So Verstappen had a 10-second lead. That'll be negated now with the safety car again, but we know he's been mighty, hasn't he, on the restarts, has Verstappen. He's had the pace. And what a fight behind him. Kvyat, Stroll, Sainz, Vettel's right in there as well. That's going to be, as long as they get that car away quickly, it's going to be a very, very exciting restart.
It's going to take at least 3 laps, I would say, to get rid of that car, as the safety car, look at that, the safety car picks up the race leader, Max Verstappen, and the car ahead of the safety car is Lewis Hamilton. Ted, down to you.
Yeah, and it's going to be the fight for the podium places, isn't it? With Verstappen, you know, he'll be okay, but Kvyat and Stroll, they'll be menaced by Sainz and Vettel in supposedly quicker cars. But there is number 20, Kevin Magnussen, putting a new set of tyres on at Haas. Lewis Hamilton's put a new set of tyres on, which must be an attempt to salvage at least a point for fastest lap out of this race. And we've got Williams standing by as well for another stop. But
wow,
I mean, shambolic, hasn't it been for Mercedes? I guess if they could salvage 1 point for fastest lap for Lewis, that might be something.
He's got to get to the top 10 though to do that.
Yeah, you only get paid out if you're in the top 10 when you do the fastest lap. But once again, I mean, Bottas was struggling with pace to keep up and to attack Stroll there. Stroll's pace was just fine.
And if you're down at racing points, where this time last year, Martin Brundle, you're looking at Otmar Saf now, the team principal, trying to find a way to keep that team alive and keep it going. 12 months on, consortiums bought them out, they've changed the name, and you might be talking to one of their drivers on the podium. Isn't it amazing how things turn around?
Good for them. Good for the smaller teams. This is their kind of day. This is what they live for, the teams with the smaller budgets. The teams that spend way less than half of what the front runners spend. They're finally getting that Merc out of the way, so we will get more racing laps, which is good news.
Yeah, and just ahead, obviously, of Stroll, that man, Danny Kvyat. Podiums, of course, before in Formula One in his Red Bull days. Finished second in Hungary. His last podium was China in 2016, where he finished third. And Toro Rosso could be on the verge of their second podium in Formula One in what's their 258th Grand Prix. Franz Tost ready, I'm sure, to celebrate there. Enjoy your interview on the podium, Martin Brundle, or down in Parc Fermé. I have no idea exactly who you're going to be speaking to, and I'm sure you haven't really thought about it much either.
I'll head off down there now through the tunnel, but I'm going to be listening intently because the restart is going to be mighty. And if I may say, watch Vettel in P5, the pace we've seen him have in the closing stages of this Grand Prix as well. And you've got drivers desperate, Kvyat, Stroll, Sainz desperate to grab a podium today.
Well, absolutely. McLaren, Sainz, of course, has never been on the podium. He could stand on a podium today, the 100th time a Spaniard has stood on the podium in Formula One. Could McLaren get back onto the podium once more? The safety car is ending, and we are going to go racing once again. So we're going to get, what, 5 laps of racing as Max Verstappen backs up the pack once again. Verstappen, Kvyat, Stroll, Sainz, Vettel and Albon. Don't go anywhere, Martin. You might want to see the next couple of laps. We'll get you. We'll carry you to the podium if we get there any faster. You want to be part of this. And what an epic German Grand Prix this has been, and it ain't over yet, folks, as Verstappen leads them over the line once again and starts lap 59 of 64. There are 5 laps to go, and there's Carlos Sainz trying to get some heat into the tyres down the straight. Sebastian Vettel right behind him. Vettel's got Alex Albon on his tail as well. Kvyat and Stroll complete the podium places. There's Vettel gaining on Sainz. There's Albon gaining on Vettel in the Toro Rosso. There's Gasly right behind them as well.
No DRS yet, enabled of course on the safety car restart, so Vettel will have to do it with a pure organic overtake late on the brakes. He's shaping up and Sainz covers him off. Vettel then changes direction down the inside.
Goes Sebastian Vettel. He's managed to get past Carlos Sainz. Don't rule him out for a podium, said Martin Brundle. He has dispatched 1 car in front of him in the space of 6 corners. Verstappen, Kvyat and Stroll ahead. Then now comes Sebastian Vettel, and on the inside Alex Albon has overtaken Pierre Gasly as once again the young London-born Thai driver shows Red Bull that he might be a future choice for driver selection as well. Gasly and Albon scrapping away behind them. Raikkonen ahead of Grosjean, ahead of Giovinazzi in 10th. And the stewards now looking at Grosjean and Magnussen. That turn 6 incident down to the hairpin has been noted by them. 4 laps to go. Max Verstappen lead this race from Alex Albon and Lance Stroll. Sebastian Vettel, who started 20th and last in this race, may still get a podium here. Juan Pablo Montoya did it in 2005, finished second that day. We've also seen Lewis Hamilton go from 20th to finish third a few years ago here at Hockenheim. It's a race that produces incident after incident after incident, and we might have more to come as well. Here comes Sebastian Vettel down towards the hairpin. Stroll manages to keep him at bay on this occasion, but Vettel has got very good traction in that Ferrari, and Anthony Davidson is still a threat.
Yeah, he hasn't given up yet. Remember, turn 8 is a possibility as well. He's a little bit too far behind through turn 7, but he is on the attack. He's on the hunt. Can he do what Valtteri Bottas couldn't do?
Sebastian Vettel seen his teammate Charles Leclerc head off into the barriers. Leclerc, Hulkenberg, Bottas, Norris, Ricciardo and Sergio Perez all out of this race. Perez was the first man out of the race. His teammate is in the podium places still, but for how much longer?
To be a little bit fair as well, as we see the dejected body language of Valtteri Bottas walking back so easily done on that wet patch through turn one. Both Mercedes drivers unbelievably making the same mistake as DRS is enabled now. This will give Sebastian Vettel the chance he needs on Lance Stroll. I was listening to the team radio to him. They're geeing him up all the time, saying you can do it, you know, you got the car, you were keeping Bottas behind. Can he keep that red Ferrari behind?
Sebastian Vettel gets a really nice entry and maybe an exit as well through turns 3 and 4. 5 is just a kink. The foot is flat to the floor for Sebastian Vettel. Lance Stroll defends down the inside, goes very early to defend, but is powerless to defend. The speed of the Ferrari carries Sebastian Vettel past, and you're either wearing orange at Hockenheim or you're wearing red at Hockenheim, and it's the red fans that are absolutely loving that one because the homegrown hero is up into the podium. And there, going wide, that's Gasly. There's a problem there with his front wing.
He tried to overtake the Toro Rosso down into turn 6. I just saw that before. I think they might have touched Crofty.
So we'll see in a moment, but definitely the front wing dragging along the ground as Pierre Gasly comes to a halt. We can see it now, down towards the hairpin. Alex Albon ahead of Gasly.
Okay, so he tried to go around the outside. That's the bit I saw, just as the camera pulled away. But watch this. He's going to stay in the slipstream. And I think he just runs into the back of him as he pulls to the right.
He does.
No! So Albon went for the defence, and Gasly was going to the right. They both went right together.
And that caps a pretty miserable afternoon for Pierre Gasly, it has to be said.
By the way, he didn't lose that position to Albon before. He was on the attack around turn 8.
Danny Kvyat was in second place. Listen to the roar for Sebastian Vettel, 20th up to second. And they love that, and that might just ease some of the pain and the memories of this time last year, where of course he crashed out in his home Grand Prix. This time around he's replicating Juan Pablo Montoya from 2005, going from 20th all the way up into second place.
That's how I did it. Best place on the circuit if you're in a red Ferrari to overtake cars. They've been so fast here all week. We've been talking about it, and this is what the Mercedes couldn't do. They had the same straight line speed as the Toro Rosso. Actually, one of the slowest cars down that section with all their downforce that they've had this weekend. And the Ferrari can see a little bit of a smile for the team down there.
It is the final lap of this race. Gasly under investigation for the incident with Alex Albon. The final lap of this race, and Max Verstappen leads it by over 4 seconds. There have been so many different leaders in this race, so much incident, so much drama. Through it all, though, Max Verstappen has proved once again, in these sort of conditions, he is a man to be taken seriously.
And the team as well. You know, they did a great job today, every single step of the way, pretty much. It was hard to get it perfect today, but pretty much they've had it nailed. And yeah, driven superbly well as well. He knew what to do, for which tyre, for which condition, and he knew it wasn't the right thing to be on those medium tyres when they put them on. He knew it wasn't right, and dived into the pits to put those intermediates back on.
Verstappen has just a few more corners to go. Last time he started second was in Austria. He came home to win. He got this sort of ovation there. It has been a very different race today for Max Verstappen, who's going to extend his run of top 5 finishes to 20 in a row, who rounds the final corner from front row to victory, and victory to win the German Grand Prix. It is fireworks and flames for Max Verstappen, the winner of the German Grand Prix. But give this man a huge hand, Sebastian Vettel, from 20th to second, and keep the applause going for Danny Kvyat, a 3rd podium in Formula 1. Well done to Toro Rosso and to the Russian. Commiserations to Lance Stroll and Racing Point. That is an excellent result for them. They're best in Formula 1. It could have been a podium, so near.
Strategic move of the race, though. Racing Point, well done, guys. Amazing stuff. To put him onto those slick tyres at the right time, incredible. And Lance as well, brilliant drive. But it was these guys today, the Red Bull team and
いやー
Toro
懐かしいなこのレー
celebrating
ス。
that podium. But yeah, I mean, so many people to congratulate today. Difficult day. We can't get rid of this place, surely, Crofty.
配信お
I'm in
願い
so much agreement with you there.